Welcome to the Everyone's a Critic movie review podcast. I'm your co-host, Bob Zarrell. With me, as always, is professional film critic Sean Patrick. Visit us at ihatecritics.net, everyone'sacriticpodcast.com. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Our handle is CriticsPod. Listen to us at Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Alexa, all your podcatchers. Subscribe to the show there. Rate and review the show. We will read your review on the air. Give us a 5-star review, and we will give you one of the several 4K Blu-ray copies that the studios are giving us to watch for the podcast. So yeah, go to Apple Podcasts and leave us a 5-star review, and we will read it on the air and get you a 4K Blu-ray. I almost said Flickchart. Patreon.com. Flickchart.com/criticspod. No, patreon.com/criticspod. Sorry, I had a loose cord. Is the best way to help support the podcast. That's patreon.com/criticspod. There we have our bonus episodes where we talk about more than just movies. We do music as well. There is the I Spit on Your Grave episode. Several A24 episodes. If you missed Josh, he's there. I think other guests, I think Jeff and Amy are both on there. Maybe even Zach. I don't know for a fact on that one or not. They're all there. Plus, we talk about Nirvana, the Beatles, Metallica, Nine Inch Nails. And we got more to come. So if you want to hear all that, patreon.com/criticspod. And then our TeePublic page at ihatecritics.net. Click on the TeePublic link up at the right-hand corner. And if you want to watch us live on YouTube, be sure to follow our social medias. We tend to go about 7, 8 o'clock Central Time. But we will post it when we go live on Facebook and Twitter. All right.
So, have you heard what happened today?
No.
So basically, Chris Rock was asked if he would host the Oscars. And he said no. Would Nicole Brown Simpson go back to the restaurant? And yeah.
What was the context that he was asked that in, though? Was it like
he was asked if he was
TMZ type thing, or was it like
he was asked in an interview about turning down the Oscars, and that is what he said, that he made a joke about Nicole Brown Simpson and whether she'd go back to the restaurant where she met Ron Goldman and such and so on. So yeah, a countdown to Chris Rock saying that he's being cancel cultured in 5, 4, 3.
Yeah, well, I haven't. Yeah, that's. I hope he doesn't go that route.
I got a bad feeling because he's getting blowback on Twitter right now. Just everybody's jumping now to Will Smith's side apparently, because the reaction I saw was basically Will Smith didn't hit him hard enough. It's a pretty terrible joke.
Oh, it's a terrible joke, but it's still a joke.
Equating yourself to a woman who was abused and then murdered by her ex-husband is kind of different than a guy who jumped on stage seemingly to defend his wife.
Right. I'm hoping he just rolls with the punches and moves on. It's a bad joke, but it's still... He's been
trending in the wrong direction, though. Just in some of his public statements. He's been trending in that direction.
Yeah.
One of those guys who's been saying, audiences are too sensitive.
Well, I've never actually heard him talk like that. I heard Chappelle, obviously, but I went and saw Mark Maron the other day, and he just tore apart comedians that whine about cancel culture.
Good.
He didn't go as far as naming Chappelle, and he more or less said Bill Maher. But he did kind of like, what is Chappelle? I don't understand what he's doing. He's so good. Why is he going this direction? It doesn't make sense. But come on, Chris, you're better than that.
Hasn't done it yet, but I got a bad feeling. I've just got a bad feeling.
I'm holding out hope that. I mean, I'm not defending his joke by any means. I'm hoping he just moves on and doesn't address it ever again. Geez. All right. Anything else happen that's...
No, not really. I did send you a thing today on Messenger about... I guess this has been around for a while, but I just never seen it before. The sexy lamp. is a theory about if you could replace a female character in your movie with a sexy lamp, you fucked up. And I thought that's just so good because it made me think like immediately I could think of several performances and several movies where the actor or basically the lead actress was treated like a sexy lamp.
Yeah.
No fault of the actor. Like the actor just does their. Some actors, you just arrive and you memorize your lines and you do your job and you go home. I'm sure there's an example of that on the show tonight, but it's mostly just a lot of male writers don't put a lot of thought into writing female characters, and that's been that way for decades. And it's only recently in like the last 5 or 6 years actually begun to shift a little bit to focusing on writing fully written characters and consulting with women about how to write better female characters, which is really not all that much to ask of a screenwriter.
No, not at all.
Kevin Smith has done it his entire career. Talk to women about how to write women. Like, it's not that hard. Yeah. And he's a guy who makes dick jokes for a living, as he would say.
Yeah, it is. You can always tell when you're watching a movie through the male gaze, and I mean that in multiple ways, but and when you're not, and I'm noticing it more and more in these last few years, going back watching movies, and it is refreshing to see just different perspectives, different types of movies instead of, we're going to get to a movie later on in the show that's just very old school in the way it did things. I don't know, it's kind of neat as opposed to have the formulaic, especially what we grew up on. Anyway, I'm sure we'll get to some of that, but it was it was a fun little read. And yeah,
check it out. I forgot to cite this source, but I'll put it up on the Facebook page and on Twitter. The woman who came up with it is quite brilliant and has written a little bit more. She was talking. They were actually discussing the Bechdel test. And she actually said she just had a better test, the sexy lamp. And I just loved that. That was very funny.
Yeah, basically, if you can do that, you're a hack. And even when it doesn't pass the test, and it was kind of cool how sometimes it passes the lamp test, but not the Bechdel test or whatever. Yeah. I don't know, like the Black Widow from Avengers was the one they kept going about.
Yeah. Did you ever notice how she rarely interacts with another female character?
Up until like the one where she dies, right? And then obviously Black Widow, the movie. And
that was her sister. Yeah.
Right. Oh yeah, because she dies before all the girls get together at the end of Avengers.
Yeah, she does.
What the fuck? She doesn't ever.
Like she interacted with Pepper in like Iron Man 2 when she was introduced, but
briefly, and then Captain Marvel walks by and she's in the room, I think.
Wow, I never thought about it.
I mean,
she's not a sexy lamp, but I mean,
no.
In terms of the Bechdel test, it's definitely a fail.
Yeah,
because all she and Pepper talked about was Tony. So
yeah. All right, let's go ahead and start the episode, and we will lead off with The Invitation.
The Invitation is a new horror film. It stars Natalie Emmanuel as a woman living in New York, struggling to get by. She's an artist. Her parents have passed away. Her mother has relatively recently passed away. And a friend gives her a gift, a DNA test that she can use, and it's a free subscription, and she can just go in and see if she has any family left. And when she does, she finds this cousin Oliver. And this cousin Oliver is from England, and he just happens to be coming to New York for business, and he invites her to lunch. And while there, he invites her to come to a family wedding that's coming up, where members of their family are getting married to another big family in England, and they're all getting together, and it's an opportunity for her to meet her entire extended English family. And once she gets there, obviously, hijinks ensue. This is a bad movie. I did not enjoy this in the least. I figured out the supposed twist, if you will, about 5 minutes in.
Because you watch movies? Because you watch movies?
Right? Because you watch movies. That's really, if you watch movies, then yes, you figured this out pretty quickly. Also, the trailer pretty much gives away the other twist in the movie that the movie builds up to. There's this thing about a wedding, and the movie builds up to this as if it's going to be a big reveal. But if you watch the trailer, you know what the twist is. So why they decided to ruin that, I don't know. It wouldn't have helped the movie anyway, because really they just didn't have a very good central idea. They don't have the actors to pull this off. They don't have the cast to pull this off. Natalie Emmanuel is not a bad actress by any stretch. But I was just mentioning actresses who sort of show up, learn their lines, and deliver them. And that's kind of the performance she's giving here, is she learned her lines and she delivers them well enough. There's only one really good thing about this movie, and that is an actress named Courtney Taylor, who is featured on HBO's Insecure, I believe. She plays a supporting role as the best friend of the main character. And after the opening scenes, she basically is just seen a couple times on FaceTime, but she is the most exciting thing in the movie. She's funny. She breaks the monotony of the rest of the movie with energy and life, and it reminded me a lot of like Lil Rel Howery in Get Out, where that character was so perfectly used in that movie, the way they put that character in, and I kept waiting, like, please bring Courtney Taylor back at the end of this movie. And they kind of do, but it's far too late by then when they do, and it's unfortunate. I wanted more of that character because she was terrific. The rest of this movie is utter trash. The English characters especially are just monotonous. They just have no charisma character at all. The one guy is basically just a nice jawline, and he's the main villain. So
is he the sexy lamp too, or is
he's kind of a sexy lamp? Oh, he's got two sexy lamp wives.
Two sexy lamp wives, and that's how bad this is written. That should be interesting. There should be something there. And instead they're props.
Yeah.
Wow.
They sort of exist.
Well, I've never heard of this movie. I haven't seen a trailer for it or anything. I didn't know it existed until you gave me the list today. And it's the biggest release this week, isn't it?
It finished number one at the box office, yeah.
Yeah, it is that time of year, though, right around Labor Day, where the box office falls off a little bit.
Yeah.
All right, so what do we got next? Low Life.
Low Life stars a guy named, I think his last name is Wes Dunlap. And he plays a guy who has his own YouTube channel. He exposes child predators. What he does is that he catfishes them, pretending to be a teenage girl, lures them into meeting him somewhere in public, and then ambushes them with his camera to capture them on camera and show that they're predators. He does this a lot. He's been doing this for a little while, and he's very successful at it. That said, local police don't find him very helpful, because when he does this, he basically drives these people underground or makes it harder to prosecute them based off of cops who are in the middle of an investigation now suddenly have to deal with the fact that this guy just put their investigation into the public now, which is, again, it's very clever in how it plays with that level of morality. Because on the one hand, what he's doing would seem to be a good thing in exposing these people, but at the same time, you'd kind of want to see these people go to jail, and now they're probably not going to. They're probably just going to either disappear or be able to, slip away because there's no further evidence that's going to be garnered against them. So that playfulness, that the way he plays with the kind of the lack of morals this guy has in using this to make himself famous and build up his own reputation is one thing. How he's doing damage on the other side is another thing. This is all building up to him having this teenage female fan named Nicole, who starts to kind of stalk him. She wants to be his partner, and she has a case for him, which happens to be the father of her best friend. She wants him to look into that, and he has begun looking into that. But when he tries to set up a meeting with the guy demands to have a nude photo of the young girl that he's talking to. And that leads our main character to do something that he definitely should not be doing in order to try and make this case go forward. And I think you can imagine what that is. This is a really interesting movie. I'm fascinated by YouTube channels about about death and murder and mysteries. And there's a lot of really great, like, dark YouTube channels out there that cover crime. And one of the subgenres of that is one where they talk about YouTube channels that were run by people who just went absolutely crazy on their own and became criminals themselves. And that's kind of what it's like being in the middle of one of those, like watching one of those as they happen, as opposed to after the fact and edited and narrated by somebody. And it's fascinating to watch that. I really, really enjoyed that. That said, there's a couple of characters in this movie that they could have eliminated. They weren't really necessary to me. I think they detract from the main story, but overall, I think this movie is so daring in how it plays with, like, you do kind of admire this guy for what he's doing. You do kind of want him to expose these guys and, you know, put their faces on the internet and show, hey, this guy's a creep and everybody should know about it. On the other hand, yeah, you know, there's elements of it that are probably he's only doing it because he wants to make himself famous. He's not necessarily the white knight that he sort of claims he is. He's also he's very narcissistic and you know, he sees himself as a hero. He starts carrying a gun to defend himself, and it gets very, you know, the third act especially just goes flying off into various different directions, and some of which are a little bit over the line, like pressing the idea of whether or not it's believable or not. But overall, though, it's such a good idea, and the main character is so good. This guy Wes Dunlap, is so good at being this character and centering the story around him. He's so good that I can forgive a lot of the problems that I have with this.
It sounds fascinating.
I would definitely recommend checking it out. It's a movie with a lot of energy, a lot of life, and a lot of really good ideas.
Streaming now?
Streaming now.
Definitely have to check. That's something that my wife would definitely love. Night Hour one, anyway. I had to go on a company outing that involved golf. So I had to leave at like 5 in the morning to drive to Chicago, whatever. Well, 11 o'clock the night before, all of a sudden my son yells, "There's something in the house." And I'm just like, God damn it, I got to go to bed. I don't want to deal with this. I'm already half asleep. So without batting an eye, she knew I had to sleep, and she didn't, like, she just went up and checked the upstairs, and she's like, "Holy shit, there's something flying around up here." There's a bat. She goes, "Give me a blanket." And I'm still like half awake trying to help her out, getting her blanket. I'm also not a wildlife guy. I would rather not deal with that shit. I'd rather just call somebody, but it is 11 at night.
Yeah.
And she goes to trap the bat, and it spreads its wings, and it's fucking huge.
Oh, my.
So she screams, is able to lock it into the bathroom, get the bathroom window open, but can't get it to fly out. And so then we just wait until the morning. And she allows me to get up and leave without figuring it out. I mean, I sent out a couple phone calls, got a phone number of who to call in the morning, but she let me do all that without having to deal with this at all. So the least I could do is give her a movie I think she'd really like in Low Life. Anyway, that story is possibly better than the movie we're going to talk about now, Samaritan by Sylvester Stallone.
Yeah, Samaritan. This is essentially a superhero story where Stallone plays sort of a retired superhero called Samaritan, who's been in hiding for the past 2 decades and a half after a major explosion may or may not have killed his brother. Some 25 years later, he's drawn out of his retirement or his hiding or whatever he's doing by a kid who's been searching for Samaritan for some time because he's got a real thing for this character and who he is and being a hero and whatnot. There's also this new villain in town who loves the character Nemesis, which was the brother of Samaritan, who essentially may have died in a fight years ago. And he wants to, celebrate Nemesis's legacy by carrying out the plan that Nemesis failed to carry out. And of course, that's going to draw Samaritan back into the fight once again in this very dreary future that is constantly rainy and dark and ugly. And I don't know, does crime just change the weather? Is that how movies think that the weather works? It's just always ugly outside because there's crime. I don't know.
I mean, to me, it's the filmmaker is not respecting the audience, and probably rightfully so. It does give you a certain feeling when you watch a movie like that. It's just, again, when you've seen movies, you don't need to be, you see right through it, and it's kind of annoying. I don't know. My brother was texting me about it and goes, "It's fine. It's not good, bad. It's definitely not good." And we started talking about it. I'm like, it's kind of like, action movies are kind of like pro wrestling. You have your Shawn Michael Bret Hart matches, and then you have your Hulk Hogan matches, and this is a Hulk Hogan match where you know what it is. It's fine if you're into that Stallone kind of thing, which I was at one point in my life. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just not that entertaining. I don't know. You've seen them all in every other Stallone movie he's ever made. So
he's going to drop the big leg. He's going to get the big comeback, and he's going to Hulk up and win. And
right
there is apparently a twist in this movie. I didn't really care at that point. It really didn't matter.
Right.
The movie failed to make it matter. That said, like it's competently enough made, like in terms of just the special effects. Like the director is a capable director. He's not untalented, but it's more mundane than anything else. It's just it's familiar. It's overly familiar, and he just doesn't really do anything new with this idea.
Well, yeah, and I mean it's better than a lot of those straight-to-video Stallone movies, like Right After Cliffhanger. But
low bar, but yeah,
but it's not. I mean, it's not quite as dumb and fun as Cliffhanger or Demolition Man are.
Yeah, I think it's because it's so dreary.
Right,
it just has no ability to have any fun whatsoever.
Yeah, and
plus the first 30 minutes of it is just so much wheel spinning. Like, we already know who Stallone is going into the movie. Like, we as an audience member, we know he's going to be a superhero of some sort.
Sylvester Stallone, for God's sakes.
Like, we know that, but we have to spend the first 30 to 35 minutes with this kid doing this investigation to try and figure out. And then from there that the kid, he's going to confirm, yeah, okay, kid, I am the guy you're looking for, whatever. But I don't do that anymore, because I've got traumatic, dream thing from my brother dying that you see in dreams and visualize. Like, it's so lame. Like, I see, oh my God, how many times have we seen the traumatic dream sequence / exposition before? Like, it's in every movie anymore. That's so lame. Just don't do it anymore. Just stop doing it. Figure out a better way to do it. But where he's going to resist and not want to join the fight and not want to, protect anybody. And then the bad guy's going to do a thing where he's going to take the kid and, they're going to use the kid as a manipulation to get him to fight. And then he will fight and blah, blah, blah. And who freaking cares anymore?
This movie was not made for us. It was made for, a specific audience. And, I mean, you could have taken 20 minutes out of it and it still would have been great, but it would have been better, I guess. A little more action-packed, I suppose, but
yeah, maybe.
But not good enough to recommend. I mean, it's there if you want to watch. If you're a big Stallone fan or a Stallone completist, then you have to watch it. All right, 3,000 Years of Longing.
3,000 Years of Longing stars Tilda Swinton and Idris Elba. Tilda Swinton is a woman who travels to Turkey. She's what is called a narratologist, and she's addressing a conference talking about stories and the way stories sort of reflect our values and our history and so on. She goes to this little shop in Turkey, in Istanbul, and she finds this bottle, and she takes it back to her hotel, and she starts to clean it up. It's a little beat up. It's a little burned. It's kind of been around for a while, and she happens to knock the top off of it, and out comes a Djinn or genie, played by Idris Elba. And he implores her to make 3 wishes. If she makes those 3 wishes, he can go on to the afterlife and live amongst his people, the Djinn, in a sort of paradise that he's been longing to live in for the past 3,000 years. She, being a narratologist, being someone familiar with stories, she's a little bit wary about the idea of making 3 wishes, because any story in the history of stories that has involved wishes has always involved consequences for those wishes. be careful what you wish for is a literal thing that's come from years of storytelling. So she's reluctant to make these wishes, but so he decides to appeal to her love of storytelling by telling her the tales of how he first ended up in the bottle, the second time he ended up in the bottle, and how he got out, and then how he got put in the last time before he ended up where he is now. And those are really great stories. They're well visualized. George Miller is a visionary director. I know people think I hate him for some reason. I don't know why. I liked Mad Max Fury Road. I just didn't love it, but that's fine. Whatever. I think this is a better movie than Mad Max Fury Road. I think it's romantic. I think it's sexy. I think it's odd and beautiful and extraordinarily well told. What I didn't expect is how amazing the chemistry between Tilda Swinton and Idris Elba was going to be. They are so good together. They seem like completely, other universe from each other people, but they are so amazing together. They have such an amazing connection that at one point when she just turns to the Djinn and tells him that she loves him, it's like, yeah, that makes perfect sense. Like, it's amazing how well this works. This whole thing is so good. And I adore this movie. I think it's great.
This is a movie where I've seen a trailer for it one time, I think in the theater, and saw George Miller, saw Tilda Swinton, Idris Elba, and it was like, I want to see this movie, and then forgot about it until you put it on the list today. It was only in theaters, I guess, so I definitely want to see it when it is available, though.
I highly recommend it. Like, it's gorgeous. The soundtrack is amazing. The cinematography, Miller again works with the best people.
Yeah.
It's gorgeous, and the ideas are strong. It's a really intelligent movie, which you kind of get that just from having Tilda Swinton in your movie. She just makes it smarter because she's so smart. This movie is so good.
Well, yeah, I mean, the poster is amazing. Everything.
Yeah, it looks like everything everywhere.
Yeah. So I'm really bummed I didn't get to see that or see this. Wish I would have been paying better attention to what was coming out this weekend. Did it come here, I'm assuming, or no?
Yeah.
God damn it, Bob.
Saw it on the big screen, and it was awesome. It was an awesome experience.
I saw Samaritan.
You just keep making the worst choice.
Well, in this house, every week I got a different story. I did watch our classic, though. We need to talk about Kevin. I've seen it before. I did not know Ezra Miller was Kevin.
I forgot about that too.
Adds another layer to it.
Totally did not intend that, but because I was going for the Tilda Swinton connection. Right. Totally forgot that was him, but scarily effective performance, isn't it?
Very much so.
We need to talk about Kevin. Is directed by Lynn Ramsey, who of course is incredible. She's one of the best directors working. Her movie with Joaquin Phoenix a couple of years ago is just one of the best of the last decade. She just keeps making amazing movies year after year and getting no attention whatsoever. She's easily the most underrated director working right now. This movie is incredible. It's basically just a trip inside the head of a woman whose son has committed a mass murder at his school. She didn't want to be a mom. She wrestled with that idea, and it seems like life punished her with the single worst baby on the planet, the single worst son on the planet. He seems to be like Omen levels of malevolent at times with this kid, and yet his evil is so mundane, where it's just like refusing to play with mom or intentionally shitting his pants just so she'll have to change his diaper again. Just the shitty things that he does just to be a dick, but it's done with such malevolence and such like sociopathic inability to understand why what he's doing is wrong. And that can all sound like it would be a little bit overwhelming, a little bit too much, but the way they put it together is that they use this as sort of the idea is that her entire life seems to be happening all at once in her mind. Like she's lost the ability to to perceive time, and it all just seems to happen here and there, and you have to kind of figure out via context clues which part of her story you're in. Is it post killing? Is it when he's a baby? Is he before he's born? They bounce around in time a lot, and it's really just bouncing around in her mind, the various things that she's thinking about at that moment. And that's an amazing way to put this movie together. It is just so smart and so clever and so exciting to watch. And Tilda Swinton is just amazing. I mean, this poor woman, I just felt so bad for her the entire movie. I just wanted her to just dump this kid and her doofus husband and just go do something else. And I mean, Tilda Swinton, really working very hard to make us believe that she really loves John C. Reilly, who plays her husband, because I was having a hard time buying in. I hated him. I wanted to smack him on the head. John C. Reilly is just such a dope in this movie from beginning to end. And then, the big reveal, but that was shocking. And Lynn Ramsey makes this movement where Tilda Swinton's character just walks into her house, and all you see is an open sliding door and some blowing curtains, and you know everything that you need to know. She does show you, she does give you the shock, but she makes you wait for it. And in your mind, the way the dread builds in that moment when you see just the curtains blowing, you know what's happened. Wow. Filmmaking, just that's amazing filmmaking. She's incredible. Lynn Ramsey, absolutely over the top awesome.
Oh yeah, there's so many ways this can go off the rails and be almost an offensive movie. You could play with the anxiety thing or a postpartum childbirth thing and be offensive there. I mean, obviously, you have school shootings and massacres that you could go off and be reminded of that. But she does such a good job of keeping you in the movie that you never wander. You're always there. So when the ending happens, you're not thinking about anything else but what's going on here. You're trapped in the movie, and that's fantastic filmmaking, because a movie like this could easily go off in any of the wrong directions. And just you said all of us, it's hard to I don't want to just repeat everything you said, but just the way it's in her head is so perfect. Even the John C. Reilly stuff, it's all in her head post this happening, so that's why it comes off why he's such a doofus. I mean, he is, but there are probably his good qualities that aren't in her mind anymore, right, because of everything she went through. Everything, it just is really such a great movie. And you mentioned how she's massively underrated, and in some ways that's probably the best thing that could happen to her. You don't have to be stuck having people tell you what to do. I wish more. I understand why more filmmakers don't stay where she's doing, and maybe she's not making a decision. I don't know. Maybe no one is offering her something, or I'm assuming though she's turning it down based on her body of work. But you're always rooting for these filmmakers to keep making what they want to make. They're so much more fun to watch. I don't want to see her version of some blockbuster movie. Not that she can't do it, but I don't want to have to see any struggle in her direction because of somebody else. And you see it all the time with great directors.
I just want to see more of Joaquin Phoenix with a hammer.
No, she is one of just fantastic. And this movie, I remember when it came out, I was so excited is not the right word, intrigued. Dying to see it, and then to watch it again.
It's a bizarre sort of roller coaster of emotions that throughout. The way she's persecuted, they almost like. And it's important to note that this is about being inside her mind, and that's a key, because when because it becomes weird where you have everyone just sort of staring at her all the time. It feels like it's almost like an alien or a zombie movie, but the reality of it is that's how she feels. It's not that everyone actually is staring at her all the time or constantly persecuting her, even though she does get horrifically treated by people after it happens, especially. But she has her house vandalized. Some creep at work makes a just an absolutely horrific comment to her. Somebody assaults her in the street. But so much of everything else, so much of the other persecution that she feels is in her head. That's just how she feels about how she's being treated. And that's an important note. And I think if you don't have that perspective on this movie, you could get like kind of annoyed or lost. Like, not everybody's going to be staring at you all the time.
Right. I mean, if you're a fan of Samaritan, this movie's probably over your head. But at the same time, it seems like something you might be interested in, because is it like The Omen? It's not. I mean, there's Omen level things in it, but that's just more of the like, it's scarier than The Omen because it's real. It's more real life than that is. And it's such an interesting idea to go inside the mind of this character, and especially try, the ways in which she can kind of see where her son is going. Like at one point, he murders a family pet in just an absolutely awful fashion, like just the worst way imaginable. The way that goes, he does harm to his little sister in a way that is just unexpected and shocking. The little touches, the way she's, I think there's a couple of scenes where she goes to visit Ezra Miller's character in prison, and you can sense that she does this because like it's like her penance, like that she is punishing herself. Like there's these two guys who come to her door, Jehovah's Witnesses come to her door. They ask her if she knows where she's going when she dies. She says, "Yes, I'm going to hell." Thank you, and shuts the door. And it's not played funny at all. Like she's already in hell. She's already punishing herself as if she's in hell because she's got to go and look at this kid once a week. She makes sure to go and do it because she wants that punishment. She feels that this is her fault. She brought this awful demon seed into the world, and she's going to pay for it. Yeah, it's just a true character study in the best way. I definitely recommend this movie. It's not an easy watch because it is such a dark subject matter. And then you throw in the fact that it's Ezra Miller, which hopefully he's getting the help he needs. That's what everybody says is going on right now.
They need. Yeah.
Right, yeah, my fault.
They, them.
Right.
That's another thing that people have been talking about on Twitter today is how Ezra Miller is getting the opportunity to go to Warner Brothers and like apologize and talk about needing help. And, Will Smith has had everything that he was doing at the time of the slap basically just canceled. Like, I mean, what's the difference between Ezra Miller and Will Smith?
Right.
I mean, Ezra Miller was basically running a cult and may have made a family disappear, but hey,
Well, and I mean, let's not kid ourselves. Will Smith isn't canceled. People are talking about him.
Right, but I'm not canceled in that sense. I mean, they literally canceled every movie that he was working on, including like taking him out of I Am Legend, canceling Bad Boys, the next Bad Boys sequel. Like all of those have stopped. He has no work right now.
Right, but he's also
very rich, and it's not going to hurt him at all. He's got plenty of money, and it's not about feeling bad for him. It's just a point that he did this one thing that everybody saw, whereas Ezra Miller is doing all of these various things and gets to be the Flash still.
Well, right, but I get all that, but Will Smith's way more famous, and that's why there's a spotlight on him. I don't know. We'll see how it all plays out. You root for everybody to better themselves in the end. Everything that's bad about somebody, there's always something good in them too. So you want the good to outshine the bad. And right now for Ezra Miller, it's hard to. There's a lot of scary stuff going on. You don't really know what's real and what's.
That said, if something horrible does happen, everybody's going to look back at this movie and it's going to become infamous.
Yeah.
I still want to know what happened to that family that was staying on his farm. I want to know, where are they? We've not heard that story yet. And family of 4 was living on his farm, and now nobody can find them.
And they don't seem to be making a big deal about that at all.
Right? I'm baffled. Why is no one talking about this?
And I just have no idea because, I mean, maybe there's a reason they're just not sharing, but it seems like a...
What is it also with like white boy ingenue actors that they have to start cults? Like Jared Leto had a cult. Ezra Miller has a cult.
Wasn't Jared Leto's cult kind of a joke, though, making fun of people for calling it a cult?
I don't know.
I mean, I know it looks weird.
I don't think the joke didn't land. If it was a joke, it did not land because it looks like a cult.
But his followers think it's funny.
I'm glad they're entertained. The rest of us are just thinking Jared Leto's a fucking weirdo.
He's an actor. They're all weird. Oh, man. Yeah. But anyway, go see We Need to Talk About Kevin. It's available on several places, right? Peacock, Tubi, Amazon
Prime.
Fantastic film. All right, 1992. Let's see. Storyville, Amityville 17, Honeymoon in Vegas, Pet Sematary 2, Twin Peaks, Fire Walk With Me. What have you seen?
Yeah.
What do you want to talk about?
Honeymoon in Vegas is a really good movie. The Nicolas Cage movie with James Caan, probably the one of the better movies of James Caan's career, in which he plays a super rich guy who falls in love with Sarah Jessica Parker, who's going to be marrying Nicolas Cage. He tries to steal her away. Nicolas Cage ends up winning her back by jumping out of a plane dressed as Elvis. Like, really terrific comedy, very underrated.
I've never actually seen it. How Nicolas Cagey is it? I know it was kind of before he got super.
It indulges his love of Elvis, but it's probably one of the more normal. I guess it's probably on the normal side, normcore Nicolas Cage, if you will.
Obviously, the Pet Sematary movies are terrible,
awful, unwatchable.
I never really, as much as I like David Lynch, spent time with Twin Peaks. I mean, I've seen Fire Walk With Me, but I've never actually watched the show.
I watched the show. I didn't watch any of the new Twin Peaks, but I watched the show when it was initially on like television back in the 90s. And yeah, I watched the first 2 seasons, and they're really good. Really good TV show. It's really entertaining. And Fire Walk With Me is wonderfully weird and odd and sexy and strange in that classically sort of David Lynch sort of way. It can be hard to follow if you haven't seen the TV show. Yeah. Because it is a prequel to the TV show in many ways.
Right. Was it a made-for-TV, like an HBO type movie, or was it actually?
No, I think it was theatrical, actually.
Wow.
Oddly enough.
And did these Amityville movies actually go to the theater? Like, I don't remember ever seeing a trailer for any of them. I remember Pet Sematary 2.
I don't know. I'm trying to figure out if which Amityville this is. Is this the one with the evil lamp?
No, I think we're way past that.
Oh, okay.
I think
I can't remember when that one came out.
I don't actually know.
That's the greatest Amityville movie. Is the evil lamp Amityville movie?
I want to say that was in the 80s. Maybe I'm wrong. It could have been, but I just, other than the first one, I don't remember any of them going to the theaters. And then the Ryan Reynolds one.
Right, that one did. Did a sequel to that one go to theaters?
Probably. I don't remember. They're still making some version of it.
They're at least putting out. I know I reviewed a movie just last year that they just used the name Amityville, like Amityville Exorcism or some bullshit like that.
Amityville The Exorcist. Just put it all together.
just pull both rotting corpses out and see what you can do. By the way, happy birthday, William Friedkin.
Wow.
Yeah, he's 83 today.
Good for him. I do like William Friedkin, though. Next week, we got Honk for Jesus, Save Your Soul, Wire Room. Is that the last Bruce Willis movie?
I think there's one more.
All right. Our 1992, Bob Roberts and Out on a Limb turned 30, so our classic's going to be Mystic River. So next week's episode will be Mystic River. Is Honk for Jesus, Save Your Soul good? I feel like I saw a trailer. I mean, I know you haven't seen it.
I've seen the trailer, but
does it look good?
It looks funny.
Remember. Okay.
Regina Hall and Sterling K. Brown It looks like it's going to be a send up of preacher movies where the preacher is like a con man stealing people's money.
That's right. I remember seeing that trailer now.
Trailers were funny. Regina Hall looks very funny in it, so I've got hope for that one.
Awesome. And I'm sure more things will pop up for us.
There's also there's one other theatrical movie, something about a kid and a monkey or something that's also going to be out. I have no idea.
So I couldn't find anything else on the numbers website.
I don't like the redesign of the numbers.
No.
I'm not a fan. I like the purple background. I like the purple header. Put that back. It's not as bad as the Box Office Mojo redesign, which is absolute trash.
I haven't been there for years.
You don't even bother going there anymore. So useless.
All right. Let's jump and do some flick chart then. American Werewolf in London or Dracula, 1979.
I'm not familiar with the 79 version of Dracula.
Neither am I. American Werewolf in London, Shallow Hal.
Shallow Hal. Big fan.
Yeah. And the fact that I haven't seen the London movie in forever makes it hard for me to give that any credit. How to Train Your Dragon, Rush Hour.
I'm gonna go Rush Hour just because it's more. I mean, I respect the How to Train Your Dragon movies. They're good kids flicks. The original Rush Hour is actually a genuinely pretty good action movie.
Yeah,
action comedy.
I agree. My son will be very upset with me though.
I think that's before. I think it happened before Chris Tucker got on the jets with the children. So
yes,
back when you were allowed to find him funny.
The Dictator, Horrible Bosses.
Horrible Bosses. The Dictator was disappointing.
Yes.
Like a lot of Sacha Baron Cohen stuff after Borat.
Right. Skyline, City Lights.
City Lights.
Alien, Major League 2.
Alien.
Yeah. Sneakers, Panic Room.
Panic Room.
Yep. Annabelle Creation, Ocean's 13.
Ocean's 13. Hate the Annabelle movies.
As do I. Star Trek Into the Darkness, Poltergeist.
I don't have the love for Poltergeist that Josh did. I like the Star Trek movies, so I'm going there.
I will go with you. I don't dislike Poltergeist, but I don't love it, and I don't like the fact. I don't know. I feel like Tobe Hooper kind of got shafted in that movie a little bit. So I always kind of hold that against Spielberg. Burn After Reading, Kung Fu Panda 2. Burn After Reading. Agreed. And I love how I wasn't there, but I dislike Spielberg for something I think he did without for knowing for a fact. Assassins, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Oh, it's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles all the way.
Absolutely. Assassins or Samaritan. What do you think? Assassins or Samaritan? If you had to pick one.
Samaritan. Assassins is unwatchable.
I think I agree with you. Highlander, Endgame, Wanted.
Wanted.
Agreed.
The only way I'd pick Wanted.
Right. Animal House, Finding Neverland.
Finding Neverland, yeah. I like Finding Neverland a lot.
Agreed.
Did you see that Johnny Depp got some work over the weekend?
I heard he did. I didn't watch it because I'm 40-something.
He was like a floating head in a MTV astronaut skit. Said I needed the work.
It's just dumb. It's not even like, oh, man.
People accuse me of abuse.
I know what he did last summer, Rear Window.
Rear Window.
Reanimator, The Bourne Identity.
Reanimator. It's the 88 Bourne Identity, so I would not pick that.
Oh, Jesus, I didn't see that.
I forgot that there was an original one.
I didn't know there was
with Richard Chamberlain. Wow.
Moneyball or Cube?
Moneyball. Moneyball's awesome.
Love that movie. The Village, Excalibur.
The Village. I didn't like Excalibur.
Hate Excalibur. Help, Eagle Eye.
Help.
Yes. Double Jeopardy, Semi-Pro.
Double Jeopardy. It's cheesy. It's cheap, but I actually think it's funnier than Semi-Pro.
Is that the Will Ferrell movie?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was on such a good run at that point, at least to most people, and that was just terrible, and it's been all downhill since.
The thing about it is, like, the 70s, like, ABA was actually much funnier than he made it out to be. Like, he tried to expand on something that was already pretty funny in and of itself.
Yeah, there was just nothing. It was just a really disappointing movie. It wasn't funny at all. Wild Things, Little Giants. It's a hell of a double feature.
Never get away from Kevin Bacon's dick. Ever. It's always there. It's Wild Things.
Always got to go with Kevin Bacon's dick. Serpico, Capote.
I appreciate Serpico. I think it's good, but Capote's a phenomenal film, and I mean, it's one of the best Philip Seymour Hoffman performances.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't love the film. I love his performance, I should say.
Yeah, now you're 100% right. I guess I don't care that much, but it is a better performance than Serpico as a movie. Too Fast, Too Furious, Rocky Balboa.
Too Fast, Too Furious.
If it was Rocky 5, I wouldn't fight you, but... All right, let's see what happens. I can't see it from here. I thought it was tails. It's fucking heads. Jesus Christ. I was like, I finally went... Wait a second. Oh, my God.
Oh.
The Strange Case of Sherlock Holmes.
That's a BBC TV movie.
Have you seen it, though? I'm just kidding. Cloud Atlas, Taking of Pelham 123.
Taking of Pelham 123.
Sorry, Josh. Airplane 2, the sequel, Premonition.
Not seen that. That's a Premonition. Not sure. I don't think that's the Sandra Bullock movie. I don't think.
Didn't look like it. Psycho or Airplane 2.
Psycho. I love Airplane 2, though. That movie's hilarious.
Yes. Much Ado About Nothing, Pirates of the Caribbean on Stranger Tides.
Much Ado About Nothing. Way better.
The Crying Game, Addams Family Values.
Crying Game.
Yes. American Psycho, The Big Lebowski.
Big Lebowski.
Absolutely. I do appreciate American Psycho, but no comparison. Just Mercy, Star Trek Beyond.
Just Mercy is a very good movie, but I really like the Star Trek movies, so Beyond for me.
That's fine. Touch of Evil, Analyze That.
Touch of Evil.
It's hard to compete with that one. The Magnificent Seven, Fatal Attraction.
Magnificent Seven. Slightly less of a body count.
On Her Majesty's Secret Service, Evils of the Night.
No, I've not seen Evils of the Night. That's a great poster, though.
It definitely is. On Her Majesty's Secret Service, Jojo Rabbit.
Jojo Rabbit.
Love that movie. If you haven't seen it, please go see it. Rome Open City 13.
I've not seen Rome Open City, but I'd like to.
Boss Baby 13.
13. Very easy.
Finally, 13 wins. It's always up against such a good movie, and it loses every time. Dead Poet Society, Kevin Bacon's dick.
Dead Poet Society.
Moonlight, Angels in the Outfield.
Moonlight.
Absolutely. Dangerous Minds, Grave of the Fireflies.
Grave of the Fireflies.
I Still Know What You Did Last Summer, Wonder Woman 2017.
Wonder Woman. Easy.
The Rainmaker, Unstoppable.
That's tough. You know, they're both kind of like those mainstream blockbuster movies. There's not a lot to them, but they're both really like, they're great popcorn movies. They're both really great popcorn movies. Man, that's tough. I think I'm gonna go Rainmaker just because I like the way Kenneth Branagh directed that.
I thought it was Francis Ford Coppola.
Huh? Maybe it was Coppola. Maybe I'm thinking of a different one. But yeah, no, I still like it. It's still good.
Yeah, it's the first movie my wife and I ever saw on a date. Of course, then we didn't date anymore for a while and went to Armageddon after that. All right, last one just for fun. The Polar Express, The Devil's Rejects.
Polar Express because it's scarier.
I think this is heads too. Motherfucker. All right, we'll see everybody next week. Bye.
See ya.
See ya.